Holy Christ!
It's not as bad as it looks, man. Welcome back, folks. Today, some drive axles for the 93 Civic. Alright, John.
Line!
Okay, John.
What's my motivation here?
You want that tire off.
Alright. It don't want to come off. So you hit it.
Okay, then. Well, right off, the previous owner has screwed us again. Seemed to be missing a little, kind of an important piece of, engine holdy-uppy business. Alright, so the plan is we will remove this axle nut while everything is still supported here, hopefully. And we'll be using the Harbor Freight, which has been good so far. And then we'll need to detach the tie rod and the upper ball joint here so that the steering knuckle will have enough play for the axle to pull out. And also detach this brake line. Let's see how it goes. Get some more slack in this brake line without breaking the line. There we are. Okay, at the tie rod, I've removed the cotter pin.
Wide open!
And we got the cheap auto parts store non-adjustable 2-jaw puller that happens to fit a lot of these things. Left the nut in place there to press against. And aid the correct socket. There we go. It's pretty tight for a tie rod. What broke? There it is. That's what you do when there's a tapered shaft. It looks like we're lucky in this case as far as the axle shaft goes. Sometimes you got to get a puller to push this out, this spline shaft out of the hub here, and in that case we'd probably have to remove the caliper and the rotor here to get a 3-jaw puller around the hub. Okay, so since we've made sure that the axle is coming loose easily, I'll go ahead and proceed to the upper ball joint, which is another tapered shaft situation. We'll get that nut loose, and then the puller is just barely going to fit in there and be almost straight. So we'll see if that works. Alright, and to hold this still while I'm getting that loose, I'll just stick the tie rod back in place. And out it comes. But not all the way yet. Alright, this is not quite straight. But fortunately, it was not terribly wedged either. Alright. Alright, with that loose up top, and removing the tie rod again, there should be enough play to slide the axle shaft out. Almost. There it is. Alright, one more thing. It doesn't appear as though the CV joints will pass through this lower strut mount here, so we'll have to take off the bolt in the back here that clamps it around the strut, and then the lower bolt here that goes through the bottom of it.
Fucking hate it when it does that.
There it is. Right, and here at the other end of the drive axle, at the transaxle, there's just a little retainer clip on the end of that shaft inside, so you just give it a little force with a pry bar, like so, and have your drain pan ready. You're going to lose a little transmission fluid. Over here. And out it comes. And this would be the perfect time to change that seal there, which would just pry out and press back in. So the reason that we are replacing this drive axle is it has a slight bit of play in the rotary direction there. If you put one hand on each side of it, you can just barely feel that. And of course, this boot is no good. And it's only going to get worse. And there, the interior of the CV, or constant velocity, joint. See the balls there operating in those slots. And of course, jammed full of grease, normally. And just insert the new one with a bit of force. There it goes. And that's done. And then the other end. They don't get any easier than that. Slip that back in place. Making sure that it goes all the way up there. Torque to spec. Now let's slip the lower bolt back in place there. Just requires a little lifting. There it goes. Go ahead and put this shiny new nut on there so this stops sliding around so much. And then to reattach the upper ball joint, which is in kind of a bind, so it's nice to have a hand with that. Oh, where's that nut?
Right here.
It needs to pull down further than that. Okay. A little more. And then that should hold itself because it's tapered. And this probably used to have a cotter pin on it, but that portion of the shaft seems to be broken off. Oh well. And same deal with the tie rod, except it's much easier. And then in this case, there is a cotter pin to put back in place. And there's just that brake line bracket, and we can put the tire back on here. That was not so bad at all, eh? These do not need to be very tight. Be careful with them. Then of course, torquing the axle nut, for which you could look up the torque spec, yeah. I'm going to use the Ryobi cordless here because it's not especially high powered. And my judgment. In my judgment, the battery's dead. Perfect. And then this type of lock nut, you dent in this edge here into the keyway of the drive axle. Just a little bit. So there you go. I won't bore you with the passenger side as it should be very much the same. I hope that helps, and please don't forget to subscribe.